The glorious city of Bath dates back to the Romans and became a popular destination for the wealthy and fashionable in Georgian times. It had a thriving social scene with balls, concerts and other events taking place throughout the year. 300 years on, tourists are still falling under the spell of this city, built for pleasure and parties. Join us as we take a tour through time and explore the only UK city designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We'll travel back centuries in just a few steps, passing architectural masterpieces like the Royal Crescent and the Circus, or even further into the past when the Romans harnessed the hot springs in the area to create the Roman baths. This video will help you plan and enjoy your time in Bath. Bath is situated in the beautiful county of Somerset, skirting the southern edge of the Cotswolds but not within that region. Just 90 minutes from London Paddington Station, getting here for a day trip or longer is very easy, and my preferred method for travelling this time, as I was staying for the weekend and parking overnight can be expensive. I say I, as Will not be with me this time, as he's on his own trip visiting a friend in Hamburg. We'll start our walkabout from the Bath Spa station, where many of you may well begin your visit. My train ticket with reserved seating was just £34 returned from London, booking in advance using Great Western Railways. The train crosses the River Avon as it glides into the station, designed and built in 1840 by the famous civil engineer Isambard Kingdom Brunel. In fact, he orchestrated the creation of the entire Great Western Line from London to Bristol. Heading into the central area of Bath but skirting around the main shopping area for now, our first stop is at the popular landmark of Pulteney Bridge that spans the River Avon. The bridge was constructed in 1774 in a striking Palladian style, designed by Robert Adam and commissioned by Sir William Pulteney. Pulteney wanted to extend the city across the River Avon without visitors knowing they'd ever left the centre and crossing the river. The bridge therefore had a very unusual feature, with shops lining its full span on either side, fooling you into thinking it was just another street. It was a great success and provided a much needed link between the two parts of Bath and quickly became a popular tourist destination. Many come to this cafe on the bridge to grab a coffee and a nice slice of cake, taking one of the few prized seats overlooking the river and weir. We'll see more of the bridge later as we take a walk down by the river. On Grand Parade just beside the bridge is the Guildhall Market. It has been trading on this site for over 800 years, making it one of the oldest markets in England. The current building is Victorian, dating from 1861 and was designed by architects Hicks and Isaac. At one time, over 400 stalls were squeezed into this hall. Now around 20 stalls of independent traders display their wares for visitors to browse and buy. Anything from leather goods to smelly cheese and bakery treats. Towering beside the market and a focal point within the city is the impressive Bath Abbey. There has been a religious building on this site since 675 AD, when records indicate Osric, a local king, gave lands near Bath to the abbess Bettina to build a convent. By 973 AD, it had become an important monastery and the chosen spot to crown the first ever king of England, King Edgar. If you purchase a ticket to enter the church, then you can see a stained glass window depicting the coronation of Edgar. Check out this website for details of opening times and current prices to visit. In the last 1,000 years, the previous buildings have either been destroyed in attacks, fallen into disrepair, or have been replaced with newer, more impressive churches. The current abbey dates from 1499, but has required major repairs and improvements over the centuries. The incredible fan-vaulted ceiling so named because it looks like an open fan, was designed by King Henry VII's master masons Robert and William Virtue. It really is quite an impressive sight. The Abbey continues to evolve and update. For those looking to delve into its history in greater detail, visit the new Discovery Centre that opened just this year. Objects from the Abbey's archives are on display within the ancient vaults beneath the Abbey building. This is included in your ticket price. For me, the highlight of my visit to the Abbey was choosing to take a tour of the tower. Available Monday to Saturday in small groups each hour, you can climb a total of 212 steps to reach the top of the tower for amazing views of the city. You cannot book online, so my advice is go early and reserve a space. You can come back later in the day to take the timed tour. The narrow, spiral steps first take us onto the outside of the west window, where we can look down into Abbey Churchyard. This is where people queue to enter the Roman baths. Climbing again, it's up onto the roof of the nave, and we begin to see the city spreading out below us. You can take a peek at the baths and look over Kingston Parade, where on a dry day performers and buskers entertain the crowds. It's also here the Christmas market is held. Heading inside the tower, the tour guide explains the bell ringing process. The trapdoor is there in case a bell ever needs removing. They also shared a charming story about how the bell ringers know when to start the peal of bells at a wedding. Squeezing into a small room with a creaking floor, there is a tiny spy hole where a lookout can see and hear the ceremony. They can then signal back to the ringers. Apparently they could use walkie-talkies, but prefer to maintain this ancient tradition. Walking over the top of the fan-vaulted ceiling, we reach a tiny room containing the clock face, and learn that in the mid-20th century, someone came and hand-wound the clock multiple times a day. Thankfully, it's now automated. It faces north of the city, as all the markets were traditionally on that side. Another larger clock was higher up on the tower back in the 18th century, but that started to affect the building due to its weight, so this smaller one was commissioned and installed here in 1834. The tour is timed to make sure you enter the bell tower in between the quarter-hour chimes. The original 15th century bells were sold to Spain thanks to King Henry VIII and the Reformation. However, the boat transporting them sank en route. 8 new bells were installed in 1700 and an additional 2 smaller ones in 1774 to give a 10-bell ring. The piece de resistance is arriving on top of the tower for panoramic and picturesque views across the city. An outstanding hour and a fascinating tour in the heart of the Abbey. Below us are the Roman baths, a stunning example of Roman engineering rediscovered and explored in the late 19th century and opened to the Georgian public in 1897. It offers a fascinating glimpse into the life of Roman Britain. You can book tickets to visit through this website. It is open daily, and in the summer there are extended hours. I chose an evening visit as many of the day tourists have left and it's quieter at this time. It's a very popular attraction and can be very busy. The baths were built in the 1st century AD when the city was a town called Aquae Sulis. It was used for over 400 years until the end of the Roman Empire in Britain. They were originally dedicated to Sullus Minerva, who was the Roman goddess of healing and wisdom. It was a huge complex with a temple and the bathhouse, as can be seen in this model recreation. The water to feed the baths comes from a natural thermal underground spring, which still flows with hot water today at 46 degrees Celsius. 240,000 gallons of water rise here daily. It is rich in minerals including calcium, magnesium and sulfur. However, in recent times it has been discovered that the water is now unsafe to use, with pollutants, toxic algae, and the Romans using lead pipes to channel the water, causing it to close for swimming in 1978. People of all social classes, from the wealthy to the poor, came to bathe, socialise and worship. The baths were also used for medical purposes, as the hot water was believed to have healing properties. The Romans believed this water to be sacred. This is the terrace, which allows you to look down on the Great Baths, lined with Victorian statues of Roman emperors and governors of Britain. In the Roman era, it would have been enclosed with an arched roof. Inside the complex you can see parts of the Great Temple entrance, built next to the spring dedicated to Sullus Minerva and housing a statue of the deity. You can learn about the people of Aquae Sulis, how they lived, worshipped and died. The bathhouse was a complex of interconnected rooms, including changing rooms, hot rooms, cold rooms and swimming pools. The baths were heated by a system of underfloor heating, and interestingly, a project to repair the crumbling floor in Bath Abbey in recent years has seen water from the baths diverted through pipes to provide free underfloor heating within the church. The vast amount of water the spring produces each day is not all needed, and the Romans devised a clever overflow drain seen here and still in use today, carrying the surplus water through a drainage system and out into the River Avon using gravity flow. We have stepped down below street level and are now walking around the Great Bath on the pavements laid by the Romans 2,000 years ago. The bath was lined with large, thick sheets of lead to hold the water. Its depth is 1.5 metres, a perfect level for comfortable bathing. This is the inflow to the Great Bath, water flowing directly from the spring nearby. The water is green today due to the algae, the sunlight and water allowing photosynthesis conditions. The Romans had the roof, and so the water would have remained clear and appealing. You can safely taste the famous spa water at the West Baths, but I'm leaving the attraction now and heading next door to experience a drink of the water from a far more ornate and famous marble vase. The pump room with its Corinthian columns was built in 1789 and took 10 years to complete, allowing the Georgians to sample the water and socialise in the wonderful building that is today a restaurant. Amongst its patrons was novelist Jane Austen, a regular visitor to the pump room, and she used it as a setting in her novels Northanger Abbey and Persuasion. It's free to enter the pump room and sample a small cup of the mineral water. I have to say the aroma of sulphur and the tepid water was not to my liking. As you'd expect with so much history and beautiful architecture, Bath is a popular busy location all year round. If you want some retail therapy, then there are plenty of streets lined with stores for all your shopping needs. There are also many places to eat and drink, and I'll share my experiences later. Beside the pump room is York Street, and a distinctive landmark. This archway was built in 1889 by architect Charles Davis. It was constructed to cover the pipes which carried hot water from the Roman bath spring to a new spa. Turning into Church Street, we pass some of the smaller independent shops and then arrive at a huge plane tree planted over 200 years ago. It's known as the Hanging Tree, as this location was reputedly used for public executions, but long before the tree was planted. Continuing on down North Passage, we're heading to the oldest house in Bath, dating from 1482, and a tale about a young Huguenot refugee escaping persecution in France. This is Sally Lunn's eating house. It was home from 1680 to a young French lady who became known for ease of pronunciation for the locals as Sally Lunn. She baked the now world-famous Bath Bun from this charming shop. There is always a queue here to get a seat, but you can bypass this and head down into the tiny museum below stairs, and also buy a takeaway bun to try if you don't want to wait. I'm not entirely sure if the ovens and fires are original, but this is what it would have looked like in the 17th century. Legend has it when Sally found work in the kitchen of the shop, then known as Lilliput Alley Bakery, they found she had a skill for baking, and she developed her own unique recipe from which she baked a rich, large buttery bun similar to the French brioche that she would have been familiar with before she fled France. Selling it on the streets of Bath, they became very popular and known as the Sally Lunn bun. There is, however, no historical evidence to support the legend of Sally. You'll have to make your own mind up. I popped back early evening when the crowds had dispersed and had a late afternoon tea. Another haunt of Jane Austen, which she wrote about in her letters when she lived in the city. The bun is designed to be enjoyed with either sweet or savoury accompaniments, and you can have many combinations today in this tea room. You are served a half bun as they are very big. It's light, fluffy, very rich and absolutely delicious. I highly recommend you try one, although some of you will want to put the cream down first before the jam. I can see the comments coming now. Let's have a quick look at the map and see where we've been so far. There is a lot still to explore. We'll now move on to Bath Street, which might be familiar to many of you. Unfortunately shrouded in scaffolding at the moment, it's been the backdrop to many a period drama and TV show. It was built in 1791 by Thomas Baldwin, a local architect, and originally named Cross Bath Street, as it contains the cross bath at the western end. Designed in a neoclassical style, the line of Georgian townhouses are now a popular shopping destination with a variety of shops, cafes and restaurants. Bath had 3 thermal springs, the largest at the Roman Baths, and 2 smaller ones called Helting Spring just around the corner from here, and this one Cross Spring. If you fancy having a dip in this spring, then it's open to the public to visit. The current structure of the Bath Cross was built in 1784 by Thomas Baldwin. The bath is a small oval-shaped pool that is surrounded by a colonnade. The water in the bath is heated to a temperature of around 43 degrees Celsius. If you're in need of an afternoon pick-me-up, then maybe head to the Bath Distillery Gin Bar on Queen Street. Until 2018, in the vaults below, small batches of gin were distilled using 11 botanicals. You can take a distillery tour in a larger location on Monmouth Place. I just sat and enjoyed my gin, though I can't remember which one I tried. Maybe that's saying something. The Jane Austen Centre on Gay Street is a big draw for fans of this famous writer. She lived in Bath for 5 years of her short life, and the centre offers you an insight into how living in this magnificent city affected the celebrated author and her writing. Costumed guides will take you on an entertaining journey through her life, with interactive activities along the way. If you'd like to find the places that Jane lived or frequented in Bath, then watch our separate video on Jane Austen's life, from birth to death, as we visit all the notable locations during her life, including those here in Bath that we won't be covering in this video. At the top of Gay Street, we have reached the impressive and famous Circus, a ring of large townhouses forming a circle with 3 entrances. Designed by architect John Wood the Elder, it was built between 1754 and 1769 and is regarded as a preeminent example of Georgian architecture. Wood died less than 3 months after the first stone was laid. His son, John Wood the Younger, completed the project to his father's design. Circus means a ring, oval or circle in Latin. The circus has been featured in many films and television shows, including The Duchess, The Importance of Being Earnest and The Crown. Taking the Brock Street entrance, we now head to the Royal Crescent, a part of Bath not to be missed when you visit. The Royal Crescent is a row of 30 terraced houses laid out in a sweeping crescent design by the architect John Wood the Younger. It was built on land previously owned by Bath Abbey between 1767 and 1774. It is among the most outstanding examples of Georgian architecture to be found in the United Kingdom. Number 1, the Royal Crescent, was the very first of the houses to be built, and has been turned into a museum which has been decorated and furnished just as it might have been during the period towards the end of the 18th century. This website gives you details of opening times and ticket prices. The rooms feature historic furniture, pictures and objects that reveal what life was like for Bath's wealthy and fashionable residents. Not only do you see how they lived upstairs, but you also get an interesting insight to below stairs and the domestic servants' lives. The self-guided tour is brought to life through film and sounds as you pass through each of the glorious rooms. It certainly is one of the best examples of a Georgian home we've come across on our travels throughout the country. In front of the Royal Crescent is a large grassed area, and if you look closely, it is separated by a sunken ditch known as a ha-ha. The top half was a lawned area for the residents of the Royal Crescent in lieu of a front garden. The ha-ha created an invisible boundary between the lawn and the public park area that extends to the Royal Victoria Park. The park is free to enter, and many people come to have picnics during their visit to Bath. It was opened in 1830 by the 11-year-old Princess Victoria, 7 years before her ascension to the throne, and was the first park to carry her name. The park covers an area of 57 acres and features a variety of attractions, including a children's play area, a bandstand and botanical gardens located in the northwest corner, which I chose to have a little walk around. They were founded in 1887 and cover an area of 9 acres. The gardens feature a variety of plants, trees, shrubs, flowers and a rock garden. There is also what is supposed to be a replica of a Roman temple, Temple of Minerva. A seating area and cafe for drinks and snacks provide a stop to rest, and you might even see some of the local wildlife. Let's have another look at the map and see where we've been. Heading back into the centre of the city, passing the bottom of the Royal Crescent parallel to the Royal Avenue, look out for the gravel walk. This charming path takes you behind all the impressive Georgian houses on Brock Street and the Circus, which we viewed from the front as we walked to the Royal Crescent. The path has been here since 1771 and was a route to and from the city for sedan chairs. It was also a route for ladies to walk with their flowing dresses and parasols. Partway down is a quaint Georgian garden open for free, which we featured in our Jane Austen video. After dark, the warm glow of the street lamps and buildings lit with spotlights give the city a very elegant, warming feel, and it's lovely to walk the same streets again when the roads are less busy. Of course, there are many bars, pubs and restaurants, and so you will have to contend with the partygoers, stag and hen do's. I guess the modern day version of the social gatherings in the assembly rooms the Georgians so enjoyed. During my visit, I stayed overnight in a wonderful hotel on Henrietta Street, just a few minutes stroll from the Pulteney Bridge. Henrietta House has combined a number of Georgian houses on the street to create a gorgeous hotel, and I found it a great spot to spend the night in comfortable and period surroundings. After a good night's sleep and a delicious breakfast to set me up for another day, I headed out to explore the east and south side of the city. The weather for a time was looking a bit more promising as I walked up Great Pulteney Street, which is one of the widest in Bath at 30 metres. Designed by Thomas Baldwin and commissioned by Sir William Pulteney, the same chap that built the impressive bridge, These three-storey townhouses were intended to be part of a much larger set of grand street squares and circuses. However, the scheme by Thomas Baldwin to create a whole new town east and south of the river was hit by financial panic as a result of the French Revolution and the collapse of many banks, including the one funding Baldwin's great plans. At the end of the street is Holburne Museum. You might recognise it from the TV drama Bridgerton as the home of Lady Danbury. This was originally the Sydney Hotel, built in 1796 to 99, perched on the edge of Sydney Gardens, a popular pleasure ground in the 18th century. Sir William Holburne, a keen fine art and objects collector and owner of the hotel, bequeathed it to the people of Bath in 1882, and a museum opened in 1883 showcasing his collection. It became the city's first art gallery. Inside you'll find a wonderful collection of decorative arts including porcelain, glass and metalwork. Paintings from distinguished artists such as Stubbs, Gainsborough and Reynolds make it a popular attraction for art lovers. Behind the museum we enter the Georgian pleasure grounds of Sydney Gardens, the only such remaining in the UK. The gardens were a popular destination for the fashionable society of Bath. Jane Austen lived in Sydney Place, overlooking the grounds from 1801 to 1804, and enjoyed visiting. Ironically, the gardens were used as a filming location for the 1995 film Sense and Sensibility. During its heyday, the pleasure grounds were full of music and dancing, firework displays, concerts, amusement rides and food and drink. It had the labyrinth, a form of maze to amuse and entertain the visitors. And whilst that might have gone now, it is still an oasis of beauty and a place to enjoy a walk around with many reminders of the past. Cut right through Sydney Gardens at the turn of the 19th century was the Kennet and Avon Canal, a vital transport link bringing coal, stone and goods to the busy city. On top of one of the tunnels built is Cleveland House, not easy to see here. This was the headquarters of the Canal Company and also the workplace of Isambard Kingdom Brunel, who was the engineer responsible for many of the canal's features. The railway would also disturb the pleasure grounds in 1840, when they too cut through the gardens. Part of Brunel's ambitious plan to link London with Bristol, providing a valuable passenger and goods stop for Bath and boosting tourism. A walk or cycle down the towpath of the canal is a great way to spend some time. If you continue along this route, it will take you to the pretty village of Bathampton in about 40 minutes. Eventually, the canal reaches the wonderful town of Bradford-on-Avon, and those that have watched our channel for a while will remember we visited this beautiful place a few years ago. So if you're staying in Bath for some time, do consider a visit. It really is beautiful. You can watch our video covering all the main highlights from the link at the end of this video. Heading back down Great Pulteney Street, let's catch up with the River Avon beside the Pulteney Bridge. There are some steps on the left as you head into the centre of the city. These take us down to the river's edge and views of the Grand Parade not seen from street level. The impressive colonnades that line the riverbank are a hidden walkway and set of vast vaults under the buildings that have not been open to the public for years as far as I'm aware, due to disrepair. Plans to regenerate the area have been ongoing for 10 years but don't seem close to starting. Above is what was the Empire Hotel, designed by the Bath architect Major Charles Edward Davis for the hotelier Alfred Holland in 1901. A grand and popular hotel in its day, now plush riverside apartments with Brown's restaurant on the ground floor. You just saw a pleasure craft arriving, and it's from here that you can take a boat ride from Pulteney Cruises. There is no pre-booking, just come and queue up for a 1-hour round trip to Bathampton. The first boat is at 10 AM each day, and it runs around every 40 minutes until 5 PM. Continuing along the riverbank, we pass the North Parade Bridge. It's a good spot to climb up and view the Pulteney Bridge from a distance. Across the river we see St John the Evangelist Church. It was designed by Charles Francis Hansom and built between 1861 and 63. A Gothic Revival style building dedicated to St John the Evangelist, one of the 12 apostles of Jesus Christ. At this southern point in the city, the River Avon links up with the Kennet and Avon Canal at Lock 7, Widcombe Lock. This building, Thimble Mill, was bought by the Canal Company in the 1830s to house a large steam-powered water pump that pumped water up to Lock 11, replenishing the water lost each time a boat passed through the lock. A modern electric pumping station now completes that task. Bath Deep Lock is the second deepest lock in the country and was only added in 1976, making it the newest on the canal, even if it looks a bit worse for wear. It merged locks 8 and 9 due to a new ring road that was built around the city. You can continue your walk along the canal. It will take you all the way back to Sydney Gardens and beyond. I wish I had more time to walk it all. Back on the River Avon, we are going to cross over into the city using the green halfpenny bridge, getting its name from the halfpenny or half a new penny that was charged to pedestrians to use the bridge, the little toll building still intact. There is no charge these days to cross. It was originally a wooden bridge that sadly collapsed in 1887, killing 10 people on it at the time. This much stronger iron bridge replaced it. We have now arrived back at the station where we started. Let's have a look at the map one last time and see where we've been. We've not seen all that Bath has to offer by any means, but I hope this video has given you an interesting insight into some of the wonderful things to see and do in Bath. We really hope you visit. We have many more videos like this on our channel, so do check out other places to visit in the UK and abroad. Thanks for watching the Memory Seekers, and see you again next time.